Many people wonder if there's certain supplements that you can take that might help to delay the aging process or make you age more healthfully. Uh, I wanted to say right off the bat that you can't really completely stop aging. Uh, Unfortunately, the body is programmed to age. There's a couple of people that there's a guy like Aubrey de Grey. He's a scientist who claims that there are certain ways to actually completely inhibit or delay aging completely. Unfortunately, these are therapies that are more in line with future technology. They're not available now. An example of this would be, for example, using stem cells to replace worn out cells and to do various kinds of cellular body repair work. As a matter of fact, people that live to over 100 are genetic freaks in the sense that they have slight cellular mutations that increase the repair of DNA damage to the cells. So as a consequence, they live longer because the cells have a better repair ability. Unfortunately, most of us aren't lucky enough to have that type of, let's say, freak mutation. So we have to do all we can to try and stay healthy and live a long time. Just a little factoid for you is a lot of your longevity is inherited from your mother, mainly from your mother. It's inherited passed through your mother through the mitochondrial DNA that you inherited from your mother. So if you want to get a rough idea of your normal lifespan, look and see how long your mother lives. Of course, if she's still alive, you can't figure this one out yet. But now of course, diseases tend to intercede. A lot of times, you have the genetics to live a long time, but you do things, you engage in bad health habits, such as cigarette smoking, becoming obese, not exercising, that short circuits even having genetic traits that would allow you to live longer. But what is aging? One study defined aging as the time-related deterioration of the physiological functions necessary for survival and fertility. The characteristics of aging, as distinguished from the diseases of aging, such as cancer and heart disease, affect all individuals of a species. Now, the way the body works, it's kind of really sad or pathetic in a way. The way the body has evolved, uh, aging starts to set in when fertility declines. In other words, as soon as you pass your fertile years, both male and female, the body starts to degenerate because all the body wants to do, or all nature wants to do, if you want to look at it from a broader perspective, is perpetuate the species. And the way nature looks at it, once you have perpetuated the species by conceiving a child, there's no need for you to be alive. I know this sounds awful cold, but this is the way it works. So, we have to try and work against that. There's a couple of processes involved in aging. For years, the main theory of aging involved the excessive production of what they call free radicals and reactive oxygen species. Free radicals are unpaired electrons that are produced in the metabolism of oxygen. Unfortunately, these free radicals always try and combine with electrons, which come in pairs, whereas the free radicals are single electrons. When that happens, it kind of messes things up. I don't want to get too technical, but free radicals are known, for example, to attack cell membranes. They're linked to various diseases such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, and the aging process itself. So a theory developed in 1957 by a scientist named Denham Harman basically said that the main cause of aging was a buildup of free radicals. And the reason why it increases with aging is the body has an endogenous antioxidant system made up of various enzymes, such as glutathione, catalase, superoxide dismutase. But unfortunately, as you get older, the body becomes less efficient at producing these enzymes that normally neutralize free radicals. And as a result, you get more free radical damage. This was the prevailing aging theory for many years. However, in more recent years, they've shown that while free radicals definitely do play a part in aging, they're probably not the main reason to account for most of the effects of aging. For that, we have to look at other processes. For example, loss of mitochondria. The mitochondria are cigar-shaped organelles found in the cytoplasm or watery portion of cells. This is where energy is produced as ATP and also where fat is oxidized in a process called beta oxidation. But the mitochondria are basically the energy factory of the cell. They produce energy for the cell. As mitochondria kind of disappear with aging or degenerate, the cells gradually die. And the mitochondrial theory of aging is one of the main theories right now to account for the aging process. Now, muscles, I should tell you, are very much probably more affected by mitochondrial loss than anything. In fact, there are some scientists who study anti-aging who believe that if you can keep the mitochondria healthy in muscles, you could tremendously slow down the aging of muscle tissue. One way to increase mitochondria, there's various ways. One way to increase it is, believe it or not, just to do exercise. Anything where you breathe in a lot of oxygen, for example, aerobics, is going to stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, it's called, or the development of new mitochondria. It also stimulates a process called mitophagy, where the mitochondria get rid of self-police themselves. They get rid of mitochondria that's not working and is messing up the cellular machinery. There are certain supplements you can take that also stimulate mitochondria. Green tea. There's one called, what's the name of it? PQQ. I did a video on that. PQQ stimulates a substance called PGC1. I'm not even going to try and peroximal something. I won't even try and pronounce it. But PGC1 is the arbiter of new mitochondria. In other words, if you stimulate PGC1, you stimulate mitochondria. You help to keep the cells alive. You slow down the aging process. Another, what's now considered a primary cause of aging, is the buildup of what they call senescent cells. Your cells replicate up to a certain point, and what determines the replication is telomeres. And I think I did a video on telomeres, or actually I wrote an article on my applied metabolics. Telomeres are these long string-like things at the end of chromosomes. Every time the cell replicates, the telomeres get shorter and shorter. Eventually, when they get short enough or just disappear altogether, the cells immediately go into a process called senescence, where they're not replicating, they're not doing anything, but they are releasing inflammatory chemicals, which leads to a situation called systemic inflammation, which is a main primary cause of many of the effects of aging that we see, such as the bad joints, the stiffness, the heart disease, brain disease. So if you can keep senescence at bay, and by the way, the drug companies are working on drugs called senolytics, which help to remove senescent cells. They're spending billions to come up with these drugs, because these drugs will actually slow down the aging process considerably. But the good news is there are certain nutrients that could basically do the same thing. As I said, some of the main causes of aging include accumulated cellular damage caused by reactive molecules known as free radicals, shortening of telomeres, okay, we already discussed that. I'm reading off my notes here. But let's talk about a couple of commonly available supplements that will help to, again, it's not going to end aging, but it'll help to slow the aging process. One of them is called curcumin. That's the main active component in a spice called turmeric. It has been shown to possess powerful anti-aging properties, which are attributed to its potent antioxidant potential. However, curcumin is most famous as a potent anti-inflammatory. It's very good for the joints. There's been a couple of studies showing that it also reduces the extent of DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. Research demonstrates that curcumin activates certain proteins, such as sirtuins. Sirtuins are, I believe there's 6 of them. These are cell-protecting proteins. In other words, they actually protect your cells from aging. They're activated by stress, and anything that imposes a certain amount of cellular stress, we usually will activate the sirtuins. And some of these supplements work by providing a low level of just enough stress to the cell to activate the sirtuins without damaging the cells. And this is how curcumin works. It activates sirtuins in that manner, particularly one called sirtuin 1. There's another protein that's very important in aging called AMP activated protein kinase, or AMPK. AMPK is produced, it's produced in muscle. When the muscle is low in fuel sources such as glycogen, AMPK is activated, or let's say you have low blood glucose. In other words, when your energy stores are low, AMPK in muscles activated, and it allows you to tap into stored fat. So I'll talk a little bit more about AMPK later, but AMPK is also greatly involved in helping to delay cellular senescence, and it promotes longevity. The curcumin, by doing this, it's able to mimic calorie and diet restriction. Now, caloric restriction, whereby calories are reduced by an average of 30%, is the only known way, as shown by various animal species, to slow down the aging process and maximize lifespan. There's not a lot of evidence that it works the same way in humans, and some longevity experts believe that that starting a calorie-restricted diet too late in life is going to do very little to extend life. You'd have to start it when you're about 3 or 4 years of age, and it's not going to happen because kids are not going to eat like that. Restricted diet would also inhibit childhood growth. It would cause all kinds of problems. So caloric restriction is not a very practical way of extending the lifespan. I mean, there are people that do it. I mean, they do show good health benefits, such as lower resting insulin, reduced blood lipids, lower blood pressure. But they look like crap. They're skinny, they have no muscle, they have very low testosterone level. Caloric restriction is not the way to go, in my opinion. You can get a lot of the benefits from caloric restriction just by exercising also. Curcumin can reduce cellular senescence in relatively low concentrations. This may be beneficial to inhibit tumor progression. But by the way, one of the reasons why the body why cells go into senescence is because senescent cells cannot become cancerous. And when you get older, let's say the protective mechanisms in your body that protect against tumor formation, unfortunately, also decline, and that explains why cancer is found in much greater incidence in people over the age of 50. But senescent cells are your body's way of protecting you against tumor formation because they cannot form tumors. They're basically dead cells that just sit there and produce inflammatory chemicals. By inducing cellular senescence, curcumin can, like I say, it'll help to reduce cancer. Unfortunately, it also accelerates the senescence of different cell types, which could lead to premature loss of cell function and actually slightly accelerated aging. So you could say curcumin is a double-edged sword. It does certain things to help delay the aging process. In other ways, it kind of stimulates, especially if used in large amounts. The one other thing I'll point out about curcumin supplements is that they're very, very hard to absorb, extremely hard to absorb. They're best absorbed when taken with some sort of oil. People in India ingest something called curry. Curry contains turmeric, which in turn contains curcumin, but they take the curry mixed with oil and foods, and as a result, they uptake a lot more of it. And they think that the curcumin intake through curry by people in India is one of the reasons why India has among the lowest rate of Alzheimer's disease in the world. It's less than 1%. On the other hand, India's incidence of diabetes is growing faster than any place in the world. I'm not sure what that is, probably overeating and lack of exercise. Another substance, what I was going to complete the thought about curcumin. Curcumin supplements are very hard to absorb. Again, you got to take a little bit of fat, or there are certain curcumin supplements that have been designed to increase absorption. You can do a search on the internet. There's several brands. There's one that I use called Longvita. It increases curcumin absorption by 66 times above normal curcumin. You can look into that. I believe if you're going to take a curcumin supplement, these special types are the only way to go, because most curcumin, very little of it, less than 1% of it gets absorbed normally orally. Another good anti-aging supplement is EGCG, which epigallagallagin gallate, that's what it stands for. It's the main polyphenol found in green tea. Green tea is known to reduce the risk of several types of cancer and also reduce cardio risk factors. EGCG may slow aging by restoring mitochondrial function. See, here we go again with the mitochondria, and also acting on pathways involved in aging, including AMPK. So that right away, green tea activates two anti-aging pathways, which of course is mitochondrial formation and protection, as well as the AMPK release. It can also induce autophagy. Now, autophagy is basically the way your body clears out stuff like senescent cells and other debris that builds up. It's very important for your body to stay healthy, is to go through periods of autophagy. AMPK stimulates autophagy. Unfortunately, mTOR, which is another protein stimulated by amino acids, leucine, exercise, and testosterone, it's also very important for muscle growth, that blocks autophagy. So for maximum health and lifespan, you have to have a balance between mTOR and AMPK. And using stuff like EGCG, and curcumin will help restore the balance between AMPK, which tends to decline with aging, while mTOR goes up. And elevated mTOR with aging is associated with diseases such as not only accelerated aging because of lack of autophagy, but also with increased incidence of cardiovascular disease and brain degeneration. So, mTOR is an example of something that's really good when you're young, when you're growing, when you want to have big muscles. But when you get older, it becomes more of a I wouldn't say it's a completely negative factor, because you still want to have a certain amount of protein synthesis as you get older. Otherwise, you get something called sarcopenia, which is loss of muscle, and that'll put you in a nursing home because you get so frail you can't take care of yourself. You just have to have a balance, basically. Green tea can also slow skin damage induced by sun exposure. It protects most of this skin damage caused by exposure to ultraviolet rays is because the ultraviolet rays stimulate a huge amount of free radical production in the skin, which damages the DNA in the skin. It causes aging and possible skin cancer. And if you could inactivate a lot of the free radicals, which green tea does, you basically reduce the harmful effects of being exposed to ultraviolet rays or the sun. Still another anti-aging nutrient is coenzyme Q10. Again, I've talked about that in another video. Research suggests that levels of coenzyme Q10 decline as you age. Coenzyme Q10 is made normally in the liver through conversion of the enzyme tyrosine. But however, as you get older, your body becomes much, much less efficient at producing coenzyme Q10. And as a result, most people over 40 don't produce enough coenzyme Q10. It's been shown to improve health in various aspects of health in older individuals. Q10 supplements help reduce oxidative stress, which again is a condition characterized by accumulation of free radicals and other reactive molecules that accelerates the aging process and onset of age-related disease. Again, Q10 is another nutrient that's extremely hard to absorb. It's fat soluble. You have to take coenzyme Q10 with a really decent amount of fat. Otherwise, it passes right through you. It's not absorbed. So if you take a Q10 supplement, make sure you take it with some form of fat. They do have some coenzyme Q10 supplements, which are also at least partially water soluble, so they're more easily absorbed. They might look into that too if you're interested in taking Q10. It's very good for your heart. And you take statin drugs. Statin drugs interfere with the liver production of Q10 because they inhibit enzymes that are involved in the synthesis of Q10 in the liver. So if you're taking statin drugs, it's very important to also take a Q10 supplement. I'd say at least 100 milligrams a day. Two of the really current hot anti-aging supplements are nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mononucleotide, also known as NR and NMN. NR and NMN are precursors to nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, or NAD+. NAD is a pivotal substance in cells that is involved in all kinds of cellular processes, including the production of energy, maintenance, and the maintenance of tissues and cells. And as NAD drops with age, your cells start to die off, and again, that speeds up the aging process. And again, NAD levels do decline with age, and it's related to various age-related diseases, including Alzheimer's disease and others. Animal studies have shown that supplementing with NAD precursors, NMN and NR, restores NAD levels and prevents age-related physical decline. A study in aging mice demonstrated that supplementing orally with NMN prevented age-associated genetic changes and improved energy metabolism, physical activity, and insulin sensitivity. The scientist David Sinclair talks a lot about NMN. He uses it himself, and he showed a video taken from his lab in Harvard where he gave one mouse NMN supplementation. The other one was an identical twin of the mouse. And these mice were the equivalent of humans being 70 years of age. He put them on a type of treadmill, and the mice that was on NMN never stopped running. And the treadmill actually broke down, and the mouse was still running. The other mouse that wasn't on NMN looked far older than the NMN supplemented mouse, and didn't have nearly the endurance of the NMN. Does this mean it'll work the same way in humans? No, we don't really know that. Although there was one study that I talked about in my Applied Metabolics newsletter, which showed if you provide NMN to older humans, it definitely increased muscle endurance and increased work efficiency of the heart. So the only problem with NMN is, first of all, they need more studies to prove it works. So far, it looks pretty good. There's been 1 or 2 studies that show it does work, but the really bad part is the expense. NMN is like really expensive. A little jar of it, I sent for it myself. A little jar of it that lasts for about 3 weeks costs $80. It's a super expensive substance. The one I use is a powder. It's a sublingual. I put it under my tongue. I take about 1 gram a day, which is the same amount David Sinclair uses. I can't say that I notice anything. I've been taking it for quite a while. When I first used it, I did notice that I had a little uptick in energy. Daytime energy, I felt a little bit more energetic, and I felt a little bit more energy when I worked out. But again, that's anecdotal. It's not scientific in any way. This is just kind of what I felt. But you could also boost NAD in a far less expensive way simply by exercising. Exercising inhibits a protein that blocks the production of NAD in the body. So when you exercise, you automatically increase NAD. And another cheap way to do it is to take niacin. Niacin is the nutritional precursor for NAD, and it's a lot less expensive than NMN and R. Niacin is cheap. Don't use the time release form. Don't use the time release form because it's hard on the liver. The problem with niacin is that 500 milligrams or more, you get a flush, which many people consider uncomfortable. You could prevent the flush by taking a aspirin tablet 30 minutes before you take the niacin. It'll prevent the flush, and in any case, the flush effect disappears after about a month after using niacin. But if you use niacin with exercise, you'll probably get much of the same benefits as using NMN while paying a fraction of the amount of money. Here's a grab bag of a couple of other nutrients that are good for aging. L-theanine, which is found in green tea. It may help prevent against mental decline. It's been shown to extend the lifespan of roundworms by 5%. Of course, just because it extends the lifespan of worms doesn't mean it's going to do that in humans, but some of the genes that are affected in the worms are also found in humans. So also theanine is a really good relaxant. It helps you relax. It reduces stress without making you groggy. And it also can take the edge off if you use caffeine or drink coffee. And it makes it a little edgy. Theanine at a dose of anywhere from, let's say, 200 milligrams up. About 200 milligrams will actually reduce the jitteriness that you get when you drink coffee. Another good anti-aging herb is rhodiola. I always mispronounce that, rhodiola. This medicinal plant has potent anti-inflammatory and anti-aging properties. A study in fruit flies demonstrated that treatment with rhodiola rosea powder led to a 17% increase in the lifespan. That's again very impressive, but these were fruit flies. We don't know if rhodiola can do that in humans. There's no evidence at all. Just mentioning it just for to be complete. Garlic has powerful anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties. Test tube and rat studies have shown that supplementing with this might prevent UV light-induced skin aging and wrinkles. Astragalus is another herb. It's a stress-reducing herb used in traditional Chinese medicine. It can help combat aging by reducing oxidative stress, promoting immune function, and preventing cellular damage. One of my favorites is called fisetin, which is found naturally in strawberries and a couple of other cucumbers, a couple other foods. It's a flavonoid compound that's considered a senolytic. It's a natural senolytic. It actually removes senescent cells from your body, which again, they now think is the primary cause of aging. Rodent studies suggest that it may reduce the number of senescent cells, as I just said. Another one that's kind of famous is resveratrol. That's a polyphenol. It's found in grapes, berries, red wine, and peanuts. And it also can promote longevity by activating the sirtuins that I mentioned on the sirtuin 1 protein. And it's been shown to increase the lifespan of fruit flies, yeast, and nematodes. Again, no evidence that it does in humans, although a lot of people take it for that purpose. It works very well, by the way, if you combine it with NMN, resveratrol, and another supplement called TMG or betaine. That trio works very well to supposedly slow down the aging process. Acetyl L-carnitine, which is a form of carnitine that gets into your brain a lot easier. And there's another one called lipoic acid or alpha lipoic acid. A combination of L-carnitine and lipoic acid are known to regenerate brain mitochondria, which goes a long way towards preventing brain degeneration related to the aging process. I'm going to mention one other substance, which is not a nutrient, but which I believe actually has really potent anti-aging effects, and that's metformin. I'm not going to go into details, but one of the ways that metformin works is it potently increases AMPK, and it does a number of other things that are very beneficial to aging. In fact, there's studies going on right now in the National Institute of Health to test the anti-aging effects of metformin because it's shown extremely effective in animal studies. But I'll talk about that more in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. So I see now that this video is going a little long, so I'm going to stop it now. Just going to suggest that if you want to have the most in-depth information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, hormonal therapy, ergogenic aids, fat loss techniques that work, supplements that work, which ones that don't. Did I say exercise science, women's health and fitness, nutrition controversies, and much more? Subscribe today to my Applied Metabolics newsletter, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, medicine, and general health. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics website where current subscribers only could send me short questions related to anything I wrote in the newsletter or anything else they want to know about, and I'll answer them only if they're current subscribers. I don't answer unsolicited questions. You're welcome to leave questions under this video. I may or may not answer them. I don't guarantee I'll answer them. I'm also open to suggestions for future videos. I should also point out that my newsletter averages 40 to 50 pages a month. It's extremely in-depth. If you have a really short attention span, it might be a little tough for you, but you don't have to read it all in one sitting. I had the newsletter designed so it could be read on any media, tablets, phone, computer, you name it. You could read it, and you could read it in chunks, and you'll absorb the information better if you actually read it a little bit at a time. Anyway, that's what science has shown. If you don't have the best friend you'll ever have, Bruno's over here napping. He's a senior citizen himself. I don't even know how old he is, to tell you the truth. But I didn't want to disturb his senior sleep, so he's not in this particular video. He'll probably be in the next one. But thanks for listening. Take care.